The vast emptiness of space held many secrets. Among them, the Veldari Consortium flourished, a peaceful alliance of 12 species from gentle worlds. They had never known true danger. Their home planets had calm weather, low gravity, and few predators. For thousands of years they explored the stars, meeting only other peaceful beings like themselves. Until now. On the bridge of the diplomatic vessel, Harmony Seeker, Ambassador Zilthar reviewed the mission briefing one final time. His 4 eye stalks bent down toward the data screen, and his thin gray skin glistened under the soft blue lights. "Are we certain about these coordinates?" he asked his navigation officer. "Yes, Ambassador. The signal matches what we would expect from the Aquarians. Their system is just beyond this asteroid field." Zilthar felt the comfortable weight of responsibility. Another peaceful species to welcome into the consortium. Another friend in the vast darkness between stars. The Aquarians, according to their intercepted signals, had just begun exploring their local planets. Perfect timing for first contact. What Zilthar didn't know was that the ship's ancient star charts contained a critical error. The signals they detected came not from the gentle Aquarians of Proxima Centauri's 4th world, but from Earth, a heavy gravity planet filled with beings evolved to survive constant danger. Earth, a death world. Kate Sullivan stared at her monitor. In North American Space Defense Command, the coffee in her mug had gone cold hours ago, forgotten when the strange readings first appeared. "Still there?" Frank Martinez asked, leaning over her shoulder. "Yes, and getting closer. Definitely artificial, too regular to be natural." Kate pushed her red hair back from her face. "Whatever it is, it's heading straight for Earth." Frank frowned. "Have you alerted the higher-ups?" "General Williams is briefing the president right now." Kate tapped a few keys, bringing up a new image. "The object is slowing down. It's not a meteor or space debris. This is controlled." Across the globe, similar conversations happened in rapid succession. In Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, London, and a dozen other capitals, military commands went to high alert. Earth had only recently established its first Mars colonies. The thought of another species reaching Earth first had never seemed real until now. In New York, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Dr. Olivia Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, addressed the nervous representatives. "We should approach this as a potential first contact scenario," she said firmly. "All evidence suggests an artificial construct under intelligent control." "And if they're hostile?" asked the representative from Russia. Dr. Chen adjusted her glasses. "Then we would face a species capable of interstellar travel. If their intentions are conquest, our current technology would offer little resistance." The room fell silent. General Peter Clark of the United States Space Force spoke next. "We've mobilized what defenses we have. The orbital platform Aegis is tracking the object. Captain John Reeves has orders to monitor but not engage unless directly threatened." Miles above Earth, Captain Reeves and his crew watched the approaching ship with a mixture of awe and fear. The alien vessel moved with impossible grace, its hull shimmering like liquid metal under the sun's rays. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Nicole Grant, the weapons officer. "Let's hope it stays that way," Reeves replied. His fingers hovered near the defense controls. Humanity's first line of defense was 30 people on a hastily constructed platform with experimental weapons. Not exactly the greeting party he would have chosen for humanity's first alien encounter. The alien ship slowed as it approached Earth orbit. Its size became apparent, nearly a mile long with delicate spires and structures that looked too fragile for space travel. On board the Harmony Seeker, Zilthar felt the first warning signs. The ship's compensators strained against the gravity, well of what should have been a small, gentle world. Instead, the brutal pull of Earth tugged at his fragile body. "Something is wrong," he gasped, his breathing labored. "The gravity is much stronger than reported." His science officer, Velna, checked the readings with growing alarm. "Ambassador, I don't think this is the Aquarian homeworld. The atmospheric composition, the gravity, the electromagnetic signals, they don't match our database." Fear rippled through the crew. A mistaken first contact protocol could mean disaster. Check the star charts again, Zilthar ordered. Where have we arrived? The answer came too late. Earth's detection systems had found them, and radio signals bombarded the ship from multiple sources. The Veldari translation system struggled with the unknown languages. They're trying to communicate, Velna said, but there are dozens of different signal patterns. This can't be right. The Aquarians use a single unified communication system. The truth dawned on Zilthar with horrible clarity. We've made a terrible mistake. This isn't the Aquarian system. On Earth, governments scrambled to create a united response. The United Nations Secretary-General would deliver humanity's first message to the stars. Every expert available worked to create a greeting that would convey peaceful intentions. Dr. Chen worked with linguists and mathematicians to design a basic communication system based on universal constants. We need to establish that we're intelligent and non-threatening, she explained to Frank Martinez, who had been assigned as her security detail. No offense, Doctor, but we don't know if they'll see us as non-threatening, Frank replied. His military training made him cautious. We evolved as predators. What if they're more like the prey species on our world? Dr. Chen paused, considering this. An interesting point. Our very biology might seem threatening to them. In orbit, the situation grew tense. The Harmony Seeker had not responded to Earth's communication attempts. Inside the vessel, the Veldari crew suffered under Earth's gravitational influence. Their life support systems worked overtime to compensate. We must complete the diplomatic mission, Zilthar insisted, despite his discomfort. If we've discovered a new species, the protocols remain the same. We offer friendship. But Ambassador, Velna protested. The readings from the planet's surface show artificial structures built to withstand enormous environmental pressures. The beings below must be incredibly resilient to survive such conditions. All the more reason to establish peaceful relations, Zilthar replied. Prepare the landing shuttle. I will follow first contact protocol. The decision made, the Harmony Seeker deployed a smaller craft. It descended toward Earth's atmosphere, targeting what the Veldari instruments identified as a major population center, New York City. On the Aegis platform, Captain Reeves watched with growing concern. They've launched something, he reported, to Earth Command. Small craft heading toward the eastern United States. General Clark's voice came through the comm system. Can you intercept? Reeves hesitated. Yes, but should we? This could be their way of saying hello. After a moment of silence, new orders came through. Monitor, but do not engage. Fighter jets are scrambling from the ground. If this is first contact, let's not make our first action an attack. As the alien shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere, humanity held its breath. For better or worse, everything was about to change. The Veldari shuttle shook violently as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Inside, Ambassador Zilthar and his diplomatic team struggled against the crushing gravity. Their bodies, evolved for worlds with 1/3 of Earth's pull, felt as if they were being pressed into the floor. Stabilize the internal gravity compensators, Zilthar gasped. His voice came out as a thin wheeze. Velna, now serving as his chief assistant for the landing mission, adjusted controls with trembling limbs. The systems are at maximum, Ambassador. This planet's gravity exceeds all safety parameters. The shuttle's computer flashed urgent warnings. The craft wasn't designed for these conditions. As the pressure in the cabin fluctuated, the Veldari diplomatic team felt their internal organs shift painfully. Their thin skin stretched tight against their bones. Medical emergency protocols, Zilthar ordered weakly. The ship's systems responded, injecting the crew with strengthening compounds and activating their environmental suits. Rigid supports extended from the suits, helping the fragile aliens maintain their form under Earth's pull. To human eyes, the transformation would look alarming. Thin, almost translucent beings suddenly encased in mechanical exoskeletons with tubes and wires connecting to various points on their bodies. Above New York City, Air traffic controllers track the unusual craft with growing alarm. Unknown object. Continues its descent toward Manhattan, one controller reported. Speed decreasing. Appears to be making a controlled landing approach. In a hastily established command center near Central Park, Dr. Olivia Chen and Frank Martinez monitored the situation. Military personnel established a perimeter around the projected landing site, keeping civilians at a safe distance. The landing pattern is deliberate, Dr. Chen observed. They're avoiding populated areas. That suggests peaceful intent. Frank wasn't convinced, or they're looking for a strategic position. He checked his weapon, a non-lethal stun device. Against his advice, the Security Council had ordered that first contact teams carry no lethal weapons. I hope you're right, Doctor. 6 F-35 fighter jets circled above the city, maintaining visual contact with the alien craft. Lieutenant Sam Rogers led the squadron, keeping his fighter at a respectful distance. Command, this is Eagle 1, he reported. Alien craft is on final approach to Central Park. No aggressive movements detected. Copy that, Eagle 1, came the reply from General Clark. Maintain position but do not engage. President's orders. Sam acknowledged the command, but kept his thumb near the weapons release, just in case. The Veldari shuttle descended gently onto the Great Lawn in Central Park. Steam rose from its hull as cooling systems worked overtime to compensate for Earth's thick atmosphere. Inside, the diplomatic team made final preparations. Remember, Zilthar told his team, standard greeting protocol. Present all 4 limbs in open posture to show we carry no weapons. Bow slightly to show respect. What the ambassador didn't realize was that on Earth, a creature suddenly extending 4 limbs might appear threatening rather than peaceful. Around the landing site, hundreds of military personnel took positions. Curious civilians gathered at the perimeter despite evacuation orders. News helicopters circled at a distance, broadcasting the historic moment live to billions around the world. Dr. Chen approached the landing zone with Frank close beside her. She carried a simple communication device, a tablet with mathematical and scientific symbols that she hoped would serve as a universal language. The shuttle's door slid open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a figure appeared. Ambassador Zilthar stood framed in the doorway, his environmental suit giving him an imposing, almost robotic appearance. The mechanical supports around his thin frame made him 7 feet tall. His naturally gray skin, visible through transparent sections of the suit, rippled with the effort of movement in Earth's gravity. They look like they're in pain, Dr. Chen whispered to Frank. Or those are battle suits, Frank responded, tension evident in his voice. Zilthar took a labored step forward. Each movement required immense effort. Behind him, 3 other Veldari emerged, similarly encased in mechanical supports. To the watching humans, it appeared as if robots with small, fragile aliens inside were approaching. Following diplomatic protocol, Zilthar raised all 4 of his limbs, the mechanical arms of his suit extending outward in what was meant to be a peaceful greeting. His eye stalks bent forward in a respectful bow. Among the human security forces, someone panicked. "They're deploying weapons," a young soldier shouted. Frank recognized the growing tension. "Hold your positions," he ordered firmly. "No one fires without direct orders." Dr. Chen stepped forward, holding her tablet with basic greeting symbols displayed. "Welcome to Earth," she said, knowing they wouldn't understand her words, but hoping. Her tone conveyed peaceful intent. Zilthar's translation device struggled with the unknown language. The ambassador extended one mechanical arm slowly toward the human female, attempting to initiate the traditional touch greeting of the consortium. A nervous security officer, seeing the alien's arm moving toward Dr. Chen, fired a warning shot into the air. The sound cracked through the tense silence. To the Veldari, highly sensitive to sound vibrations, the noise was physically painful. Zilthar recoiled, his suit's systems interpreting the sudden movement as a threat response. Defensive. Protocols activated automatically. The suit's exterior panel shifted, creating a protective shield around the ambassador. To the watching humans, it appeared as if the alien was deploying combat armor. "Weapons hot," someone shouted from the human security lines. "No," Dr. Chen yelled. "They're responding to our actions." Frank Martinez made a split-second decision. He stepped in front of his security team, arms raised. "Stand down, everyone stand down!" But it was too late. Another shot rang out, this one striking the ground near the Veldari delegation. The aliens, their bodies already under tremendous strain from Earth's gravity, reacted with panic. Their suits, designed to protect their fragile forms, deployed full defensive measures, panels glowing with energy, mechanical limbs positioning for quick movement. From the human perspective, it looked like the aliens were preparing to attack. From the Veldari perspective, the Deathworlders had responded to a peaceful greeting with violence. "Return to the shuttle," Zilthar ordered his team. "The mission is compromised." As the aliens retreated toward their craft, more shots were fired despite Frank's orders to hold fire. One struck Zilthar's suit, damaging a support strut. The ambassador collapsed, his body unable to support itself without the mechanical assistance. "Ambassador!" Velna cried out, rushing to help her fallen leader. Dr. Chen ran forward, waving her arms. "Stop shooting. They're not attacking." She reached the fallen ambassador just as Velna arrived. For an instant, human and Veldari locked eyes. In that moment, both understood the tragic miscommunication that was unfolding. "Help me get him to the shuttle," Dr. Chen said to Velna, gesturing with her hands to communicate her intent. Together, the human scientist and the alien diplomat dragged the injured ambassador back to the craft as chaos erupted around them. In Earth orbit, the Harmony Seeker received emergency signals from the shuttle. To the Veldari Consortium, the message was clear. They had encountered a hostile Deathworld species. The peaceful first contact had become catastrophic diplomacy. News of the disastrous first contact spread quickly. Video of the Veldari ambassador collapsing under fire played on screens across Earth. Some saw frightening aliens in battlesuits. Others saw peaceful visitors met with human aggression. Truth lay somewhere in between, lost in translation between species who had evolved under completely different conditions. The Veldari shuttle lifted off from Central Park, with Dr. Chen still on board. She had made a split-second decision to accompany the injured ambassador, both to provide what medical assistance she could and to maintain some form of communication with the aliens. Frank Martinez watched from the ground, conflicted about her choice, but respecting her courage. "Dr. Chen is still on that ship," he reported to General Clark. "She went voluntarily to assist their injured." The general's response was immediate. "We need to get her back." "Sir, with respect, she might be our only chance at fixing this," Frank Yu argued. "She knows what she's doing." Inside the shuttle, Dr. Chen struggled with the lighter gravity as the craft accelerated upward. The Veldari had adjusted their environmental systems to ease their suffering, which made the atmosphere feel thin to human lungs. She knelt beside Ambassador Zilthar, whose environmental suit had been partially removed to treat his injuries. She saw for the first time how truly fragile the Veldari were. Their bones appeared almost translucent, their skin like thin paper, organs visible beneath. The ambassador's breathing came in short gasps, his 4 eye stalks drooping with exhaustion. Velna watched the human carefully. The Veldari scientist had never been this close to a Deathworlder before. Dr. Chen's solid form, dense muscles, and thick skin seemed brutally strong in comparison to her own delicate structure. "I'm trying to help," Dr. Chen said slowly, using simple gestures. She pointed to the ambassador, then made a patching motion with her hands. Velna seemed to understand. She handed Dr. Chen a small device with a gelatinous substance inside. Through gestures, she indicated it should be applied to the ambassador's wounds. In orbit, the Harmony Seeker received the returning shuttle. The ship's commander, Nevrath, had already sent emergency signals to the Veldari Consortium. The response had been swift and alarming. All available ships were being redirected to the Sol system. "We have encountered Class 12 Deathworlders," the transmission read. "Containment protocols authorized. The consortium had never needed to contain a species before." They were diplomats and explorers, not warriors. But their history contained warnings about worlds like Earth, planets where life evolved under constant threat, creating beings capable of withstanding conditions that would kill most consortium species instantly. The closest equivalent in consortium records were the mythical destroyers, a species said to have caused the extinction of several civilizations before disappearing thousands of years ago. The possibility that humans might be related to these legendary beings sent waves of panic through Veldari leadership. On Earth, Admiral Laura Peterson arrived at Space Command headquarters in Colorado. A tall woman with short gray hair and commanding presence. She had spent her career preparing for threats that most considered science fiction. Now those preparations were about to be tested. "What's our fleet status?" she asked, entering the command center. 5 ships ready for deep space deployment, reported Captain William Harris. The Defiant is our most advanced vessel, with experimental shields and weapons systems. And what are we facing? Captain Harris pulled up the latest orbital scans. The alien vessel appears to be primarily scientific in nature. Minimal weapon signatures detected, but we're picking up unusual space-time distortions at the edge of our solar system. More ships are coming. Admiral Peterson studied the data. Time estimate? At current speeds, 3 days until they reach Earth orbit. She nodded grimly. Prepare the fleet. I want all 5 ships ready to deploy in 12 hours. While military forces prepared for possible conflict, Dr. Chen made progress on board the Harmony Seeker. Using a combination of mathematical symbols and simple drawings, she established basic communication with Velna. The scientist had created a simple translator program on her tablet, matching Veldari sound patterns with English words. Your world and heavy, Velna managed to communicate. We, not prepared. I understand. Dr. Chen replied slowly, allowing the translation program to convert her words. You expected a different planet? Velna's eye stalks bobbed in what appeared to be affirmation. She pulled up a star chart on a nearby screen, pointing to a system several light years from Earth. Aquarians. Peaceful, like us. Dr. Chen finally understood. A navigation error. You came to the wrong place. Wrong planet. Wrong species. Velna's body trembled, whether from fear or the strain of Earth's gravity. Dr. Chen couldn't tell. You're kind of survival machines, built for war. Dr. Chen shook her head. We're not warriors by choice. Earth shaped us. We had to adapt. The concept seemed difficult for Velna to grasp. The Veldari evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation, not competition, drove advancement. The idea of a species forged through constant struggle against hostile environments was alien to their understanding. Meanwhile, linguist Dr. Alan Jackson worked with Frank Martinez to analyze the intercepted Veldari communications. They had set up a temporary research center near the landing site, collecting data from the brief encounter. They're not preparing for war, Dr. Jackson said suddenly, looking up from his computer. They're preparing quarantine measures. Frank leaned over his shoulder. Quarantine? They think we're sick? Not exactly. Dr. Jackson pointed to patterns in the translated communications. They see us as a dangerous species that needs to be contained. Not out of malice, but fear. They're genuinely terrified of us. Frank considered this. From their perspective, I guess we would seem frightening. Exactly. Imagine encountering a species that can easily survive conditions that would kill you instantly. That's us to them. As this realization spread through Earth's leadership, Captain Harris received his orders aboard the Defiant. Lieutenant Diane Powell, his tactical officer, reviewed the mission parameters with growing concern. We're supposed to intercept the incoming alien fleet and demonstrate Earth's military capabilities? She asked. Sir, with respect, showing our weapons to a species that's already afraid of us might not be the best approach. Harris, a thoughtful man with decades of naval experience, shared her concern. Our orders are to ensure Earth's safety. Admiral Peterson believes a show of strength will deter any aggressive action. But what if they're not being aggressive? What if they're just scared? Before Harris could answer, A communication came. Through from Earth. Dr. Chen had managed to establish contact through the Harmony Seeker systems. Captain Harris, her voice came through with static interference. The Veldari aren't preparing for war. They're a peaceful species that evolved in environments completely unlike Earth. To them, we're essentially superpowered beings living on a death planet. Harris listened intently as Dr. Chen explained the situation. The Veldari Consortium, upon learning of a potential Deathworld species with space travel capabilities, had activated their only defensive protocol: isolation and containment. Their ships aren't armed with weapons, Dr. Chen continued. They're equipped with gravitational technology designed to create a barrier around our solar system, cutting us off from the rest of the galaxy. The implications were clear. Earth wouldn't face destruction but permanent isolation just as humanity was taking its first steps into space. "I need to speak with Admiral Peterson," Captain Harris said. "We may need to reconsider our approach." The Defiant changed course, leading Earth's small fleet toward the edge of the solar system. But rather than preparing for battle, Harris began formulating a different strategy, one that might bridge the gap between species separated not by malice, but by the vastly different worlds that shaped them. Captain William Harris stood on the bridge of the Defiant, Earth's most advanced spacecraft. Despite its impressive technology, the ship was small compared to the Veldari vessels now visible on long-range sensors. 5 human ships against a growing fleet of alien vessels. Not good odds if this turned into a fight. "We're approaching communication range," Lieutenant Diane Powell reported from the tactical station. "The alien fleet has stopped at the edge of our solar system." Harris nodded. "Open a channel to Admiral Peterson." On the main screen, Admiral Peterson's stern face appeared. "Captain, you're ordered to maintain position at the outer defense line. Reinforcements are being prepared." "Admiral, with respect, I believe I can resolve this situation without showing force," Harris replied. "Dr. Chen has provided valuable insights into the Veldari. They don't want war, they're afraid of us." Peterson's expression remained firm. "That's precisely why we need to demonstrate our strength. If they fear us, they'll respect our boundaries. Or, they'll see it as confirmation that we're dangerous and proceed with their containment plan." Harris countered. "I'm requesting permission to approach their fleet with a different message." After a long silence, Peterson finally spoke. "You have 6 hours, Captain. If you can't reach an agreement by then, you will return to formation and follow original orders." The communication ended. Lieutenant Powell looked at her captain with concern. 6 hours isn't much time. "Then we'd better make it count," Harris said. "I need everything we have on human physiology, environmental adaptation, and our history. And get me a direct link to Dr. Chen." On the Harmony Seeker, Dr. Chen was making progress. Ambassador Zilthar had recovered enough to join the discussions. His fragile body was supported by a modified version of his environmental suit, calibrated to counter Earth's gravitational effects on his system. "Your kind evolved in harsh conditions," the ambassador said through the translation system. "We did not believe such evolution could produce peaceful intelligence. Survival on Earth required both competition and cooperation," Dr. Chen explained. "We had to be strong to survive, but we also learned to work together." Zilthar's eye stalks wavered in what Dr. Chen had come to recognize as thoughtful consideration. Consortium records speak of destroyers, ancient species who evolved on Deathworlds. They conquered, destroyed. "We're not destroyers," Dr. Chen insisted. "Humans can be violent, yes, but we also create art, music, philosophy. We value peace." The ambassador seemed unconvinced. "Your first response to us was weapons. A mistake. Born of fear and misunderstanding," she said. "Just as your response now, quarantine, comes from fear." Their conversation was interrupted by a message from Captain Harris. The Defiant was approaching the Veldari fleet alone, without weapons powered. The other Earth ships remained at a distance. "He's taking a huge risk," Dr. Chen murmured. Aboard the Defiant, Harris prepared his approach. Against military protocol, he had ordered all weapon systems powered down. His plan relied not on showing Earth's strength but its adaptability. "Transmitting now," Lieutenant Powell announced. The message Harris sent wasn't a typical military communication. Instead, the Veldari fleet received a series of images and videos showing humans in diverse environments: deep-sea divers exploring ocean trenches, mountain climbers scaling icy peaks, scientists working in the extreme heat of volcanic regions, and astronauts floating in the vacuum of space. Each image was accompanied by medical data, heart rates, body temperatures, oxygen levels, showing how human bodies adapted to these extreme conditions. "What are you trying to tell them?" Powell asked. "That our adaptability isn't a threat, it's a gift," Harris explained. "We survive not to conquer, but to explore and understand." On the Harmony Seeker, Ambassador Zilthar and the Veldari leadership watched these transmissions with growing interest. They deliberately enter hostile environments to learn, one Veldari commander asked in disbelief. Dr. Chen nodded. "It's in our nature to push boundaries, to seek knowledge even when it's difficult or dangerous. Not to destroy, but to discover." Ambassador Zilthar studied the human medical data carefully. "Your bodies, constantly healing, adapting. Remarkable. And we've learned to use that adaptability for more than just survival," Dr. Chen added. "We heal others, build shelters against harsh conditions, develop technologies to make difficult environments livable." The second part of Harris's transmission began playing, a brief history of human conflicts followed by the formation of peace agreements, international cooperation, and space exploration initiatives. It showed a species that had indeed evolved through violence but was working toward harmony. "They are like children of a harsh parent," Ambassador Zilthar observed, "shaped by difficult conditions, but growing beyond them." Back on Earth, Frank Martinez and Dr. Jackson worked with world leaders to prepare a proper diplomatic reception. The United Nations had converted its General Assembly Hall into a low-gravity environment where Veldari representatives could function without their mechanical supports. "We need to show them we understand their needs," Dr. Jackson explained to the Security Council. "Just as Captain Harris is showing them, we're more than our adaptations to Earth's harshness." Frank supervised the security arrangements, ensuring all personnel understood the Veldari's fragile nature. "No sudden movements, no loud noises, and absolutely no weapons visible," he instructed his team. "These beings can be injured by sounds that we barely notice." At the edge of the solar system, the Defiant held position before the much larger Veldari fleet. Hours had passed, and Admiral Peterson's deadline approached. "Any response?" Harris asked, tension evident in his voice. "Nothing yet, sir," Powell reported. Then her console chimed. "Wait! Incoming transmission!" The main screen displayed a Veldari ship's interior. Ambassador Zilthar, Dr. Chen at his side, addressed Captain Harris. "Captain of Earth vessel, Zilthar," began, his translated voice still carrying hints of strain. "Your message has been educational. The consortium has never encountered a species like yours, evolved for survival yet capable of restraint. We want peaceful relations," Harris replied simply. "Our differences could be strengths if we learn from each other." The ambassador's eye stalks trembled slightly. "The containment fleet will stand down. Instead, we offer cultural exchange. There is much to discuss." Harris felt the tension on the bridge ease. "We accept your offer, Ambassador. Earth would be honored to learn from the Veldari consortium." Dr. Chen smiled, relief evident on her face. "Captain Harris, the UN has prepared appropriate facilities for Veldari representatives. And I believe our Ambassador Zilthar is well enough to return to Earth, under better circumstances this time." As the communication ended, Lieutenant Powell looked at her captain with newfound respect. "You took an enormous risk, sir. Sometimes understanding requires vulnerability," Harris replied. "We showed them our adaptability isn't just physical, it's psychological too. We can change our approach when needed." The Defiant changed course, taking position as an honor escort for the Harmony Seeker, as it returned to Earth orbit. Behind them, most of the Veldari fleet began to disperse, their quarantine mission replaced with diplomatic observation. Admiral Peterson contacted Harris one final time. "Unorthodox methods, Captain, but effective. Report to UN headquarters when you return. You'll be joining the diplomatic team." As Earth prepared to welcome the Veldari properly, one fact became increasingly clear. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its ability to survive harsh conditions, but its capacity to reach beyond survival to connection. In showing the Veldari that Deathworlders could choose peace despite being built for struggle, Captain Harris had opened a door to the stars that might otherwise have closed forever. But unknown to both species, others had been watching this first contact with great interest. Among the distant stars, monitors registered the unexpected diplomatic success. The Crawl, a truly predatory species, had hoped the misunderstanding would end in conflict. Now they would need a new strategy to exploit these potential rivals. The misunderstanding between humans and the Veldari had been resolved, but a greater threat was already setting its plans in motion. 2 weeks after the near disaster of first contact, Earth and the Veldari Consortium had established promising diplomatic relations. The United Nations building in New York now hosted a permanent Veldari delegation in a specially modified wing, with reduced gravity and careful environmental controls. Ambassador Zilthar had recovered from his injuries and led his people's diplomatic efforts with newfound respect for humans. Dr. Olivia Chen had become the chief human liaison to the Veldari, her understanding of both species making her invaluable. Frank Martinez headed security for all diplomatic meetings, having learned exactly how to protect the fragile aliens without appearing threatening. Captain William Harris received a promotion for his peaceful resolution of the crisis. Now Admiral Harris, he supervised the integration of Veldari technology with Earth's small space fleet. The two species had begun a careful exchange of knowledge, humans sharing their remarkable medical techniques that might help the Veldari become more resilient, while the consortium shared their advanced propulsion and gravity control systems. Gravitational manipulators alone will revolutionize space travel, Admiral Harris told Lieutenant Powell, as they toured the newly upgraded Defiant. "We can now reduce the effects of acceleration on human bodies, allowing for faster travel without the physical strain." Powell nodded, examining the sleek new additions to the ship's systems. "And they get our medical knowledge in return. Seems like a fair trade." What neither species knew was that far beyond Neptune's orbit, a Crawl scout ship watched with growing interest. Unlike the peaceful Veldari, the Crawl had evolved as true apex predators. They conquered rather than explored, seeing other intelligent species as either threats to eliminate or resources to exploit. The Crawl commander, Draz Karn, studied the transmissions between human and Veldari ships with cold calculation. His scaled skin gleamed under the red lighting of the bridge, sharp teeth visible as he spoke to his second-in-command. Two species, both with valuable traits, neither with significant defenses, he hissed. The Deathworlders show promise, strong bodies, adaptable minds. The Veldari possess technology we could use. If they unite, they might eventually pose a challenge. His second nodded, mandibles clicking. Better to strike now, while their alliance is new and fragile. Drazkarn's plan was simple, but effective. The Crawl possessed advanced camouflage technology that could disguise their ships as either human or Veldari vessels. They would attack both species simultaneously, making each believe they had been betrayed by the other. In Earth orbit, the Harmony Seeker prepared for a return journey to the Veldari homeworld. Ambassador Zilthar would remain on Earth, but many of his staff would transport scientific and cultural materials back to the consortium. The Defiant had been assigned as an honor escort for the journey, a gesture of goodwill and protection. Admiral Harris supervised final preparations from Earth's orbital command station. "All systems check out. Departure in 3 hours." At that moment, alarms blared. "Multiple unknown vessels approaching," the sensor operator shouted. "They're firing on New Beijing colony on Mars." The tactical display showed 3 ships with Veldari configurations attacking the human settlement. At almost the same instant, another alarm sounded. Veldari distress calls reported human vessels attacking their diplomatic ship near Jupiter. That's impossible, Harris said, studying the readings. We don't have ships in that sector. Dr. Chen rushed into the command center, her face pale. Admiral, Ambassador Zilthar just received word that human ships are attacking Veldari vessels. But I know it can't be true. Harris made a quick decision. Someone wants to break our alliance. Lieutenant Powell, take the Defiant to protect the Harmony Seeker. I'll coordinate defense of the Mars colony. Powell nodded sharply. Understood, sir. As Earth forces scrambled to respond to both attacks, confusion spread. The Veldari High Command sent urgent messages questioning human intentions. Earth's military leaders demanded explanations for the attack on Mars. Only Harris, Chen, and Zilthar remained certain this was a third party's doing. We need proof, Dr. Chen said to the ambassador, or both sides will assume betrayal. Zilthar's eye stalks drooped with worry. Trust between species is fragile, like my bones on your world. Near Jupiter, Lieutenant Powell guided the Defiant toward the endangered Harmony Seeker. Through the view screen, she could see 3 ships with Earth, fleet markings attacking the Veldari vessel. But something seemed wrong about their movement patterns. Scan those ships, she ordered. Full spectrum analysis. The results confirmed her suspicions. The hull configuration matches our ships, but the energy signatures are completely different. Powell opened a channel to the Harmony Seeker. Veldari vessel, this is Lieutenant Powell of the Earthship Defiant. The vessels attacking you are not human. Repeat, they are not human ships. We're moving to protect you. The Defiant positioned itself between the attackers and the damaged Veldari ship. The false Earth vessels immediately changed tactics, turning their weapons on the Defiant. Return fire, Powell ordered. Target their propulsion systems. I want one of those ships intact for study. The Defiant's newly upgraded weapons, a combination of human and Veldari technology, proved devastatingly effective. 2 of the attacking ships exploded while the third suffered critical damage and began drifting. Powell ordered a boarding team to secure the disabled vessel before its crew could destroy evidence. Frank Martinez, who had been aboard the Defiant for security consultation, led the boarding party. Inside the false Earth ship, Martinez and his team encountered the truth: scaled reptilian beings with advanced technology. Most of the crew had evacuated, but one injured Krull remained unable to escape. Who are you? Martinez demanded, weapon raised. Why attack both our species? The Krull hissed defiantly. Strong survive. Weak fall. Basic law of universe. Martinez secured the alien and collected data from the ship's systems. The evidence was clear. The Krull had planned to trigger war between humans and the Veldari, then sweep in to conquer the weakened survivors. At Mars, a similar scene played out. Admiral Harris, commanding Earth's defense forces, managed to capture one of the false Veldari ships. Inside, they found more Krull technology and battle plans detailing the intended conquest of both species. When the evidence was presented to both human and Veldari leadership, the reaction was swift. Rather than driving them apart, the Krull attack had given the new allies a common enemy and revealed the strength of their complementary abilities. The Krull underestimated us both, Ambassador Zilthar told the emergency session of the UN Security Council. They saw my people as weak because our bodies are fragile. They saw humans as simple brutes because your bodies are strong. Dr. Chen nodded. But together, we create something greater than either species alone. Veldari intelligence and technology combined with human resilience and adaptability. Admiral Harris addressed the council next. The Krull are still out there, and they're a genuine threat to both our peoples. I propose a formal defensive alliance between Earth and the Veldari Consortium. The vote was unanimous. Within days, joint human-Veldari military exercises began. The Defiant, now equipped with the best technology from both species, led a patrol fleet to secure the outer solar system against further Krull incursions. Lieutenant Powell, promoted to captain of the Defiant, stood on her bridge with a mixed human and Veldari crew. The Veldari wore modified environmental suits that allowed them to function in Earth-normal conditions, while human crew members had learned to move carefully around their more fragile colleagues. Ready for patrol, Captain, reported her Veldari, navigation officer. Powell nodded. Take us out. As the joint fleet moved beyond Neptune's orbit, a message came through from Admiral Harris. Captain Powell, intelligence suggests a Krall fleet gathering in the Kuiper Belt. Your mission: assess and engage if necessary. Powell looked at her diverse crew, humans and Veldari working side by side. Acknowledged, Admiral. The Deathworlders and their allies are on the way. The Defiant accelerated toward the stars. Humanity's adaptability and the Veldari's technology combined into something neither the Krall nor any other hostile force would find easy to overcome. What had begun as a diplomatic mistake had forged an alliance that would reshape the future of two species, and perhaps the galaxy itself.